Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to Open Money at the Freakin Coffeeshop in Tintown in Courtenay on the northwest coast of Turtle Island. I'm Ernie Jacob, and this is
Michael Linton.
So today we are going to start with some news, I guess, about what's happening in the world of open money, and then we're going to talk to the one of the proprietors of the Freakin Coffeeshop, Sperling. Sperling is his name. Sperling and Maya own this lovely establishment, and we're on the verge of some interesting activities and projects. Michael is off to California to speak at an Intel, was it a conference, workshop, or something like that? What would you call it, Michael?
Well, it's the Digital Money Conference. Now, it's been set up by an Intel research anthropological project, People and Practices Research Group of the Intel Research. And it's taking place in Irving, Los Angeles, University of California, September the 18th and 19th. And the text is Everyday Digital Money, Innovations in Money Cultures and Technologies. And I'll be speaking on the morning of Thursday, the 18th, following Keith Hart's keynote presentation. Keith Hart, the memorybank.co.uk, one of the foremost anthropological researchers into community money and money systems in general. And he's leading off. I'm in the first panel thereafter. And it's at this event that we're going to lay the proposition before Intel and other major corporations that it's time for them to look at participating in circulating money networks in support of the third world. So that's the basic agenda. If you go to emoney.typepad.com, you'll find a blog that covers all the activities in that conference. Back to Arnie.
Yeah, we're passing this microphone back and forth because we haven't quite got, this is a new Mac that we're working with, which is why we're able to come to the Freakin Cafe, or Coffee Shop, the Freakin Coffeeshop, and do a blog talk open money from halfway in the open air and halfway inside. Anyway, so with this proposition, and well, I guess before we talk more about, is it Irvine or Irvine? Irvine. I always thought of it as Irvine, California. Irvine. Anyway, and I'm off to Vancouver this week to work on the development of the Community Way project and the Open Money project in the Vancouver region, meeting with Nathan from the Portland Hotel Society and the Pigeon Park Savings about raising money for downtown east side issues, particularly using Community Way. So we're looking at Community Way at the local application level, where businesses can donate to community organizations and projects of their choice. Well, for instance, in the downtown's east side, there will be businesses that will want to donate to Insight, and other businesses will want to donate to the Private Legal Society and to the Portland Hotel Society generally, as well as any other community organizations like DERA and Carnegie and the Media Arts Center that's proposed for the Woodwards building. And certainly that's how it works. Community Way businesses choose who they give their community money to. And that connects with the global in that we now have the software that can take Community Way and community currencies global. And that's what Michael's going to talk about. Well, he's going to talk about it right now, I guess.
Apparently I am. Yes, we've been talking about community currencies and in particular about Community Way for many years, but we've been talking about it within the context of smaller communities. a city region by all means, but our limitations were technically we would not be able to easily accommodate a large corporation in a community way model until recently. The reason for this is that most large corporations, although they may be well based in one particular community, the head office is here, doesn't mean much of their revenue derives from that locality. If you're Boeing, for instance, then you may live in Chicago and Seattle as head offices, but you're selling your planes all over the planet. And the same applies to most of our large corporations. They're located somewhere, but they do business everywhere. And for us to include them in a Community Way project required that we had the capacity to serve Community Way on a worldwide level. Well, we now have, at least in rudimentary form, software that is capable of being deployed on a global level. And this makes it possible for us to start talking to the big corporations. Now, this makes for a big shift in the whole strategy. We've often talked about the 10% solution, or the 10% shift. Mr. 10%. 10% is a nice number. Everybody can sort of get a grasp of it. It's big enough to be real. It's not big enough to change your world completely. But it shows up. So if you say to somebody something is going to make a 10% shift in their world, in their lifestyle, in their well-being, in their quality of life, in their profit and loss statement, you're saying something that they can pay some attention to. Now, if I'm saying that to a fairly small operator, maybe a business with 10 or 15 employees, I'm going to be talking about a sizable bump, but it's still only in the N,000 level. Now when we talk about major corporations being involved in Community Way, we're talking about millions and indeed billions of dollars. Not for each corporation. For each corporation, millions here, millions there. Community money, serving community purposes on a global scale. But we couldn't do this before. Now, the recent developments in software, and for access to that, you should look to a site called partysmart.org and follow your nose from there. Jeff Cheshire is doing sterling development work. I suppose you can do sterling development work on virtual money. Well, he's virtually sterling with virtual money in his partysmart.org site, and he's producing the goods. And we are getting ready to roll. And within a few weeks, we'll be announcing the software before the Irvine conference, which incidentally is followed by a conference in Vancouver that subsequent weekend, the Barcamp BC, which is a gathering, informal, open space gathering of credit union and alternative technical developers for software and banking procedures. This is one of a series of such conventions or meetings or conferences or unconferences. And we are going to be bringing them Community Way for the Vancouver region. And that's back to Arnie to talk about that.
Actually, I wanted to focus in on this idea of corporations being involved in Community Way. Given that a corporation like Walmart, and there are many community groups dealing with the Walmarts of the world in their locality, doesn't this give Walmart a way to green their image and still use their money to prop up oppressive regimes all over the world and basically exploit and oppress people globally?
No, it doesn't. You see, that's the deal here. You know those old westerns where the herd is stampeding and the cowboy lead, usually on a white horse, has to gallop to the head of the runaway herd and turn the head steer and get them running around in circles, and then the stampede. You remember those? You had to be a bit older than the average to remember those movies. But get to the head of the herd and turning the lead bull. That was the big deal. Well, Walmart's a lead bull. Walmart and many others, many similar. And yeah, we got to turn them. Now, right now, they are, as many of the other major corporations, they are perfect delivery vehicles for their own process, which is turning opportunity into profit. And they are good at it. And at this point, there is absolutely no governance on their process by the local communities within which they work. Now, in our view, if Walmart is using community money, it can do nothing but empower the local staff. It can do nothing but empower the local consumers in their relationship with Walmart. Downstream, it's even going to empower the producers who are working in the sweatshops that make the gear and the equipment, and plastic G-jars that are packaged and shipped around the world in the name of profit and development. It's a gradual process, but the concern that opening an interface with such big corporations is in some way empowering them to do more damage is utterly misconceived. I know it's a sort of a knee-jerk feeling. It's, oh my God, if we give them any more rope, where are they going to go? Well, look at it, this is a sort of a rope that brings them into the circle, that brings the corporations into a form of compatibility and community responsibility, which they are intent on achieving. You know, we don't want to be deceived by the fact that because corporations, as we know them, have grown up inside the monoculture of conventional money, international trading standards, opportunism, rip-off, and deceit and destruction, because they've grown in that context, it doesn't mean that those who are engaged with such corporations are dedicated to that process. I think they want off the tiger they're riding as much as everybody wants them out of it. So let's get these guys into the game instead of just vilifying them as the nasty bad people who are trashing the planet. Well, yeah, the corporations are trashing the planet, but it's not nasty bad people. Let's get the good guys and get this show on the road.
I mean, essentially, I think what you're saying is that it's the way the money works that determines the way people within corporations act. And by changing the money, you change the way people act.
Yeah. The basis of the monetary model is the bucket. You have what you got. The money comes in. It fills your bucket. It goes out. Now, that's the same whether it's you, your family, or it's your small business, or it's your big business. We're all struggling with the same issue. We've got to keep the money coming in, and we know that when we spend the money, it's gone. It's out. It's away. Now, there's nothing we can do about hard cash dissipation, as we call it. I think that's not a bad term for it. It's the dissipation that's caused by hard cash. What we can do, however, is introduce the soft CC, the local circulating community currency system. And within those, when I spend the money, be me the small man, or me the small business, or me the big business, when it's spent, it's coming back. It's moving around, and it's supporting my business rather than just disappearing into the void. Now, my attitudes towards spending and earning in those two currencies, the hard and the soft, are going to be different. One of them is about survival. One's about competition. One's about get the most for the least. And that's the name of the game. I can't afford to throw cash away. Good God. You think it grows on trees? You know, so cut your corners, shave the margins, squeeze your suppliers, screw your staff. You know, it's business as usual. Can't expect anything different. We've all got to get by. So that's the name of that game. On the other hand, if there's money that actually, well, it's easy coming, the local stuff, you spend it, it comes back. You spend it, it comes back. Well, the issue there is not so much where do I get my money as how do I communicate, move it around, keep my community engaged with me and me with it. And that's an opportunity for generosity, for collaboration, for intelligent deployment of our resources and our energy that we are just not afforded by the hard cash stuff. It gives no room for that. It's my way or the highway. Tighten up or lose it. And with community currency, it's be free, be more open, be more related, let the good times roll.
We talk about the transformative possibilities of community currencies, currencies that circulate within many different communities, associations, networks that we're already involved, engaged in, but are hampered in our relationships, in our dealings, our activities with other people, in that the kind of money that we use, as Michael pointed out, is all about competition, the most for the least. Watch out, because somebody's going to get the better of you in some way or another, and you don't want to look like a fool when it comes to the real stuff. So what we anticipate is that having community currencies available to us in all our many varied communities will transform our societies, not only socially but also economically. And Michael talked about the 10% solution. Another way to look at that is monetizing or energizing the idle capacity in our communities.
Yeah, we've got all over the world desperate needs for shelter, housing, for food, agriculture, localization. We've got desperate needs for energy security, for local production, for local social services, home care, health care, education. All these services that are the essentials of an ongoing society that our button-down reductionist accountant economists, the Friedmanites, the hard money Wallies of the 80s who've done so much to destroy this planet in the last 25 years. Oh, don't get me started on them. The old stuff, business creates wealth, government just distributes it. This is nonsense. This is the arrogant stupidity of an ideological myopia. And we ain't going to get anywhere with that money. It just isn't going to work, because all it does is it leaves people idle. If you're using limited supply money, conventional money, legal tender, there's only so much of it. That's why it works like it does. No arguments about the process. Let's not get into that silly old game. But that money, for all its workability, has unworkabilities. The principal one being that it leaves many dry spaces. It leaves people without work when there's work that needs to be done. It's the unactivated capacities of our community, the skills that are left lying on the bench, the players who want to get on the ice but can't get out there. Hey, coach, put me in, coach, I want to play. Well, the current money system says, no, you can't play. We don't have any money for you, so you're out of it. So we have skilled people, we have competent people, we have people who really want to contribute in their world, and the money system won't help them. In fact, it actually actively militates against their contribution. So that's the first thing we do with community monies, is we open up an opportunity at every level, neighborhood, locality, region, for people and business and organizations, and indeed for governments, local governments, regional governments, national governments. World governments? Well, I haven't heard about them yet, and I don't believe in them yet. But all governments, all organizations, profit corporations or non-profits, formal community supports or informal communities, church congregations, school classes, neighborhood networks, and people, small businesses, families. If you use money that moves around, you're going to do nothing but good for your community, and you're going to do yourself some good too. So make the 10% shift. get into the world where money moves instead of the world where money just sucks.
And a good place to start would be openmoney.org on the web. Also, you could have a look at some material at openmoney.editme.com, and an index of all the stuff that's happened with Let's systems and community currencies and open money over the last 25 years on lets.net. And if you're interested in talking about these things, give us a call on Blog Talk Radio or use the chat. The other thing would be to drop us an email. I'm EY@openmoney.org, and Michael is MWL@openmoney.org, and we'd love to hear from anybody that wants to correspond.
And perhaps join us in the coffee shops every Monday morning. Well, it's morning here on Pacific West Coast. That makes it midday on the East Coast. It makes it early evening in Europe. And it makes it a hell of a late in further east. But here it's the Monday, and it's the morning, and the coffee's good, and we're in the Freakin Coffeeshop, and we're having a good day already. The sun is shining. Now, I've got to say, in the 23 minutes remaining, we're not expecting a heavy call-in attention. It's disappointing. You thought the internet is a wide open space and everybody can reach you, and indeed you can. All you got to be able to do is phone in to the Connect number. Good grief, where is the Connect number? I can't find it anymore. It's probably on our segments section. And our account, what does it say about the phone-in? Well, I'm going to leave you to work on it. If you go to openmoney.org, if you go to blogtalkradio.com/openmoney, then you'll be able to see our chat. And the number is, I found it, folks. The number is International 1, area 646-716-9424. I'll say that again. 1-646-716-9424. And if anybody wants to call us, we're up for a chat. Community money on the Open Money Blog Talk show. Now, I thought I'd spend a few minutes, since there's nothing else much going on at the moment, and the man we expected to have a chat with isn't around because he's got called off and busy doing things around the community. So I'm going to talk briefly about what I'm going to be saying in California in a couple of weeks. The digital money event in Irving, California. Innovation in Money, Culture and Technologies, sponsored by the Intel People and Practices Research Group. I'm going to be talking about Money 2.0, about the fact that money hasn't really changed, that most of what we get excited about with digital money is not actually a shift in the money, it's simply a shift in the vehicle, the carrying mechanism, the ability to use cell phones, smart cards, a variety of different technical tools to transact online, in the stores, between phones, all sorts of ways. But 99% of the stuff that's going on, and 99% of that which is conceived as going on, is move the old money in new ways. Now, the old money is still the old stuff. Limited supply. When you spend it, it's gone. And fair enough, we can improve some things by digital application of those monies, but basically, why don't we look at money itself? Why don't we look at what makes money move? You know, the analogy to the first wheel, you know, the wheel didn't spring out as chrome or spokes or special technologies. The first wheel was a log, and for a long time the log was the standard for the wheel. If you wanted a really good wheel, it needed to be big, heavy, roughly round and in the right place. That was the main thing about logs as wheels. They were heavy. So, as a heavy roller, you could move all sorts of other heavy things with it, but you needed 45 of you. You needed them in the right place. You needed a down slope to make it easy. It was a rough life. But the thing that made the log substantial was its logginess, its heaviness, its hardness, its bigness. And so for years and years and years, people were more interested in, we're going to move something, find me a big, heavy log to be the roller. Now, in those circumstances, the person who comes along with a wheel, the person who's abstracted the functionality of the system. Oh, I see, things that go round, move us, the roundness, the roundingness of that log. It didn't look like a log. The wheel did not look like a log. And so there was an awful lot of opposition from the log merchants. Logging is our business, my man, the only good money is this sort. Well, that's the world we're living in. People think conventional money, because it's of its ubiquity, is the only form. But no. The function of money is to move. The function of money is to connect, to enable transactions. And the functionality of that money in that way can be very well served by community currencies. They're simple, they're easy, they move around, and they look and behave just like normal money, except that you spend it and it comes back. Now that's money as information rather than money as substance, money as stuff. So the first part of my affair, I'll be talking about how the massiveness of money is no longer the issue. It's the information of money. We're going to move from the stuff to the form, to the function. And this is really money 2.0. Money 1.0 is the old stuff, the original. It came from substance and value and security and the need for it to be valuable, stay valuable, be valuable forever. Just as the Web 2.0 has emerged from Web 1.0. The first use of the web was people running around putting up their notice boards. It was look at me, look at me, look at me. It was really just a bloody great sticky notice board on the virtual wall. And nobody who was in the early stages of the web was actually using what the web made possible. They were bringing the old world into the new. But progressively, social networking, a variety of different facilities have made Web 2.0 an emergent phenomenon. What people are doing with the web now is what the web makes possible. So new ideas are emerging that just could not have been conceived of beforehand. Similarly with money. Money 2.0 is the money that is emerging through the new information culture as a consequence of the information form. It is information. It's going to lead to a new form of tribalism. The neo-tribalism, not the old phobic tribalism, the balkanization, the my tribe versus yours, the to and fro. I'm in my side, you're over there, and you can only be in one tribe, and if you try and leave it, you're in trouble, and if you do leave it, you're probably in even more trouble. That's tribalism in the old model. Phobic, us against them, very, very competitive and insular. The neo-tribalism is a tribalism of connectivity. How many tribes do we belong to? There's your neighborhood, your network, your school friends, your trade association, the small business association you're related to, the Chamber of Commerce. These are all tribes. And each one of us is probably a member, in some respect, of at least a dozen different tribes. Some of them very peripheral to our lives, but some of them very, very central. And just as we have different rooms in our houses to accommodate our different functions, it makes a hell of a lot of sense to have different currencies to support our different social, economic, cultural activities. So here comes the neo-tribalism. Now, after I've talked about that for probably no more than 3 or 4 minutes, because what is there to say and everybody else knows about it, I'll be talking about the emerging co-creation of cultures and technologies, particularly what's been seen to be happening in mobile phone networks. And part of that in such advanced societies, technically advanced as Japan, the rate at which 12-year-olds children are assuming technology and transforming it is quite astounding. But also in Africa, where the inadequacy of conventional financial techniques, if you want to cash a check in upper Nigeria, forget it, baby. It isn't going to happen. If you want to move money, make payments in these areas, you can't rely upon old-style Western banking, and you can't rely upon old-style hard cash. You need to have easier methods of moving it, and we have M-Pesa, we have OboPay, we have dozens of strategies, some technical, some informal, that have been adopted to move money around on the phones. And I'll talk about that, and I'll talk about the facility that this opens up for putting community currencies on the phone networks, which is going to be the biggest opening in the world of a new facility for a new society. There's more people out there on phones than anything else, and we get a simple application that rides on the chips, your community currency wallet. Boy, are we off to the races then. Now, what's this money for? Well, it's about more differentiation. I'll talk a little about such initiatives as the trade that Burger King did with the Florida tomato pickers. That an increase in the farm gate price paid to the Burger King pickers in Florida would not be whittled down by 25 intermediaries. So that, if there's another 2 pence on the burger price or something, the amount that got down to the tomato pickers was about 0.001 pence per pound or something. Now, they put through a flow-through currency. And these flow-through currencies are going to become more and more evident in our society, particularly as we start counting the carbon, as we start finding out where that money is going and coming and where it is not when you actually really need it. Emission rationing, our license to pollute each other's atmosphere, is probably the greatest challenge and opportunity for the commons in our world, and we've got to get onto it fast. Parts per million, 350, no good. 380, bloody awful. If we go past the 400 parts per million in carbon, well, you can probably kiss your ass goodbye. So let's get on with getting down on the carbon. Let's get in touch with where's the carbon going, coming, and who's making a profit from it, and why, and what can we do to manage this affair better. Well, having laid those grounds, I'll then close into our Community Way application. I mean, everybody hears theory, but they want to see the beef. Where's the sizzle? What's the reality? So, okay, guys, take a look at Community Way. 3-part harmony. The businesses create, the charities benefit, and people are the changers. Very simple model. You can see it all on openmoney.org/CW. And there'll be more in a couple of weeks before we go on to this Intel event. But I'll be talking not just about how this is a grassroots, started in your own locality, get on with it, let's play. It's also capable of networking on a global scale and providing a transfer of investment finance to the third world of unparalleled proportions, scale, and principally autonomy. We're quite familiar with strategies for empowering the third developed world that have a lot to do with actually empowering the first world. Yes, you can have this money if you immediately spend it on our products, our hardware, our technology, our knowledge transfer. Yes, you can have this money, provided you continue to pay us interest on it and you give it back to us when we want it. All these tied aid, tied investment. Well, you know, there comes a time when you've got to say the best investment in global security is substantial and effective economic reform in the third world. It's the financing that makes it possible for people to have irrigation, decent health care, education, literacy, HIV support programs, mosquito nets, you name it. There's so much to be done. The funding to provide it is, at this point, minimal, trivial. It's a disgusting reflection on our Western methodologies, politics, our expediencies, that we do not do more to resolve the problems that are continually coming back to haunt us. Well, we've got to do something about it, and our proposition will be that Community Way, at a major multinational corporate level, can be the seed for transforming the economies of the third world. Will they believe us? Do we know? Well, that's a big BS question. Is this bullshit or is this the black swan? And that's the question everybody's got to start looking at. What's a black swan? A black swan is something that comes out of the left field, doesn't look like anything you ever saw before, and confounds your expectations. What's bullshit? Well, you know what bullshit is. And most of our world is about filtering bullshit. Oh, there he goes again. I heard this before. And particularly if you're a business, you can't afford to distract yourself on stuff that's fantasy and bullshit and nonsense. So you're built in with bullshit filters. Well, that's all very well, but you need a black swan finder. And this is the point where you get to check out the different strategies of looking out for the black swans versus just sweeping the bullshit off your desk. And that'll be the number in Irvine, California in just 3 weeks' time. And I'm going to pass you back to Arnie because we're coming close to the end of this show, and I better let him go for the wind-up.
Well, not the wind-up yet, but the point about dealing with these global issues, it's also, Community Way is primarily a way as well of dealing with local issues. I mean, what Michael finds disgusting about what's going on throughout the world applies just as much, if not more so, to our own communities. I mean, here we are living in some of the richest communities in the world, and yet right here in the Comox Valley, there are homeless people. I mean, how absolutely unimagined. It's difficult for me to accept that people are okay with homeless people in such a rich community as the Comox Valley, and hungry people.
And people in prisons. How can we talk about exporting our glorious systems to another world when apparently the flag bearer for Western democracy, as it is humorously called, has the highest prison population on the planet, has the highest disparity between rich and poor, has done virtually nothing to improve its social conditions in the last 40 years. And we talk about exporting this to the rest of the planet? Really? We've got to get our act in order. And getting our act in order means taking care of those in our society who are least able to compete on this dog-eat-dog, fight-for-it world that we call the economy. So we need to export a newer, kinder form of community, not a kinder form of capitalism. Capitalism is an inevitable consequence of a limited money supply. Everybody talks about it as though it's a grand theory or an ideology, or it's not. It's just an inevitable behavior. Where there is limited supply money, there will be people who are going to take advantage of the opportunity to be empowered and in control and secure with it. Of course. And that means they're going to acquire assets, control assets, and basically by that, live to some extent on other people's efforts. Oh well, that's the game. There's no way around it. If you're going to be stuck inside the hard money, that's what you'll get. Now, introduce the soft. Well, it's not capitalism anymore. It's maybe a form of communalism, commons. It's collaborative. It's creative. It's all sorts of good things. And it doesn't stop you from playing the hard game. I mean, nobody's going to take your marbles away from you if you're dedicated to, as we must be. Nobody's asking you to sell the farm and give all your money to the poor and join us. Don't do that, please. What we are saying is, in addition to the hard money, however, you can have a soft side. So that's the job, to get on with the soft stuff.
And the key about this soft stuff is that it goes around. This is round money, rather than flat money. This is money that comes back when you spend it. We're talking about community currencies, open money, let systems. And as Michael has ably pointed out, the issue here has to do with the way normal money works, and what we're proposing here is that open money and community currencies are a solution to that money problem. And since that money problem is at the root of most, if not all, of the problems that we're dealing with in this world, it behooves us to start using this stuff. And luckily, we're now at the point where we have software and the facility that enables people anywhere in the world to create their own community currencies on the fly, on the web, even with a cell phone in a village. A village out in the middle of Zimbabwe somewhere can create its own community currency just with one cell phone.
Yeah, it's perhaps a slender line, but it's a line that works. And from that one cell phone, let 1,000 phones bloom. Who knows what will come? As Ernie says, it behooves us to behoove. Who behoove? How behoove? Are you behooved? We're behooved. It behooves us to open up the community currency world. And we'd love to hear from you guys, whoever you are. This happens every Monday at this same time. It's live, and it's podcast, so you can pick it up later. We're accessible all over the place. Just send us an email. EY@openmoney.org, MWL@openmoney.org. Check into our websites, lets.net, openmoney.org, openmoney.editme.com. All sorts of things and entertainments to observe there, but basically, get in touch, come up to speed, find out what's going on. And join us. Yeah, every Monday, cafe time.
That's actually the Freakin Coffeeshop. I keep wanting to call it a cafe. I like it, Freakin Cafe sounds easier than Freakin Coffeeshop. How much time we got left there, Michael? The last minute. That's it. We're out of here. Michael Linton and Ernie Jacob at the Freakin Coffeeshop in Tintown in downtown Courtenay on the northwest coast of Turtle Island.
And here's the whole. Thank you very much.